Welcome back to the channel. I just want to go over where we're up to with the Mark 1 at the moment before we kick off in this week's episode. We knew there's a bunch of things that needed doing. Okay, we knew the roof was bad, the roof's still bad. We knew that the front end had a lot of rust in it. We've done the front end, so we've ripped the old one off, needed a new slam panel, front panel, needed a bonnet, needed a pair of wings. So we've done all of that work. The wings actually weren't that bad, but while we're in there, might as well get that done. So that work is all done. When we pulled the windscreen out, we found that the windscreen surround was rustier than we expected. And so we bought a repair panel for that, put that in, and got the windscreen back in, brand new windscreen. That's all good. Then we went on to have a look at some problems with wiring and bits and pieces. So the car, there was no spark, the car wouldn't start, and the ignition core was in the wrong way around, because of course it was. So we did that, and that was all good. So now where we're up to with this is that the car will start and kind of run if you stick starting fluid down the throat of the carburetor. However, we're not getting any fuel. I've had the fuel pump out on the bench and wiggle the arm, mechanical fuel pump, wiggle the arm, it'll pull fuel out of a jar and put it into another jar. So in theory, the fuel pump is okay, maybe. I've ordered another one just in case. We've got spark. Like I say, the car will run if you stick some fuel down the throat of the carb, but it just won't start. Won't start on the key. The fuel pump won't push any fuel out when you're on the key, despite the fact that we've had the starter charger on it. And so obviously not going to get an MOT on a car that doesn't run. Had a look at the indicators. So we pulled all of that wiring out, replaced it, and now all of that works. The one thing that doesn't work is the horn. So without further ado, I think this episode will try and get the horn working. We'll try and have a look at this fuel problem in a bit more detail. I don't know if we'll ever get this thing to actually run from the key. Okay, so the next job is to get the horn working. Original horns are all rusted to hell, didn't work. So these are the connectors, I've taken those off. I bought some new horns. However, I've connected those up and they don't work either. So either the horn relay is not working, or maybe the horn button isn't working. Either or. Anyway, let's have a look in the car and see which one it is. Alright, so let's test the horn. So turn the ignition on and listen carefully. So I can hear the horn relay operating. Okay, so can you see? Because I can't both hit the switch and look at the relay at the same time. I guess what we could do is pull them. Maybe not. Not that one. One above it. Okay, so this is the relay, number 53. Alright, so here are the two relays. This is the relay from the car, and it has 4 pins. This is the relay from the kit. It has 5 pins. There you go, for anybody who wants a part number. Hopefully you can see that okay. I will go put this back in the car, and actually no, I won't put this back in the car, thinking better of it. What I'll do is I'll get some crocodile clips and the multimeter, and we'll see if this actually works when we put it across the battery. So I'm going to test for continuity here with the multimeter. Before there's any power on the relay, and then after there's any power on the relay. The reason I've cut the audio and done some voiceover here is that it's really noisy. The camera's picked up all of the clanging and banging around. So anyway, here we go. No power on the battery, no connectivity through the multimeter. clip on the negative terminal, test again, and you can see the reading on the meter drops down, and there was a nice little beep to show we had continuity. So that means the indicator relay is fine, nothing wrong with that. On to the next thing, and we'll see if we can figure out if we have any power at all onto these connectors here. I hope it's not more bad rotten wiring. Okay, so these are the original horns. You can see they're really rusty. They weren't really usable. The brackets themselves, we could have cleaned those up, but they'd be all pitted, and they're only flat steel, so I'm going to make some replacements. I bought a new twin horn kit from Amazon. It's from Fiam, as you can see. They're quite nice. Similar sort of thing, twin horns, but with some rather funky red plastic covers. You get this useless relay with it, with 5 pins on it that doesn't fit in the fuse box, of course. Pretty much everything else you need to fit it apart from the brackets. So it gives you a couple of individual brackets that I could use. That's the original horn bracket, fits to the chassis of the car on one of the bumper mounts actually, and then the horns go through the 2 holes there in the other bracket. Brackets out of, just cut new brackets out of plain sheet, drilled some holes in them. They are the right size, so you can see they match up with the originals. So all we need to do now is bolt the new horns on. So alright, so there we go. Now the downside to these is that the connectors are not the same as on the original horn. So they, you can see that's got a clip on it, sorry, clip fitting connector. This is just spade terminal, so I'm going to need to make up a small loom that will connect into the 2 horns and go across into the new wiring. Looking good. Heat shrink that back down and we're good to go. So I've decided not to use the relay that comes with the kit. I'm going to use this relay that I already had, which has got a separate fuse in it. So that gives me another inline fuse, which is more accessible, and I think it's just a better quality relay. Okay, so the way this works is that you have 12 volt permanent feed to both the horn and the horn relay, and then the horn button makes the circuit to ground to power up the horn relay, and that makes the circuit to the horn. What I'm doing here is putting in an additional relay to take that load off the horn wiring. Okay, so that's it. The horn works, good enough for the MOT, all taped up, weatherproofed, extra relay in, extra fuse in, all good. Fuel pump was on it. Looks relatively new. It's got some wear here. He says. Got some wear on the end, as you would expect, but you know, the fuel pump overall looks in reasonable condition, and if you actually pump it by hand, it will actually pump fuel. I do note actually that oh no, the O-ring is intact, it just looks like it's broken. Alright, so it's time for a fuel pump test. The new fuel pump has arrived. These are the two. This is the old one, this is the new one. So first of all, let's test to see how the old fuel pump does in pumping fuel. Got some fresh fuel here. I just checked the new fuel pump to see if it actually does anything at all, which it happily does. So, and what we'll do is grab one of these plastic bottles. That will do as a receptacle. And we need to pump some fuel out of the jar, fresh fuel, and into the receptacle. So let's see how we go. It is in. So some fuel's starting to come through. So it does seem to be working when you move it with your hand. Alright, so that does seem to work, the old pump. But as we saw when it's on the car, it doesn't seem to do a whole hell of a lot when you are turning it over. Here's the new pump. Let's see if this is any different. So new pump's got a bit of a head start, I guess. Let's tip that fuel back out. Make it a fair test. Set it up. This should be fun. Set it up in the same way. So that's a lot quicker. It's also easier to move with your finger. It's probably not helping. Right, so let's pump all the residual fuel out. Let's start pumping again. And again, a lot quicker coming through. Seems to be a stronger stream as well, to be honest. But I guess the proof of the pudding, as they say in England, is in the eating. So let's get this back on the car and we'll see if it fixes our problem. Alright, so that's it for this episode. We've got the horn working and we've got the car actually starting and running from the key. Who'd have thought it? I'm so pleased. The original fuel pump did look like it was working, but clearly it wasn't actually working properly. The new one I got didn't look anything like the original one. There's no O-ring, it has a gasket instead. But nonetheless, it seems to work. So what I'm going to do now is going to leave it a while, let it cool down, try and start it again on the key, make sure that it runs okay, and yeah, then I'll get it booked in for an MOT, and I'll bring you with me on the next episode. Could try harder. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you soon.